I call Kris Faafoi.
Mr Chair, can I just speak to clause 14 and again take an opportunity to ask the Minister a question, as I don't sit on this committee, and it goes to a new 1A that has been inserted into clause 14, which reads, an intelligence and security agency may provide protective security services, advice and assistance to any public authority or person or class of persons under subsection 1, we don't need to worry about, in cooperation with any other such public authority or persons or class of persons. And my question is around oversight, because if the Minister is approving certain agencies or certain bodies for protective services to be supplied or for cooperation to be had with an intelligence agency, and then that agency is cooperating with other agencies or other persons, the net gets a bit wider. And I guess my question is to what level of oversight is there from the Minister or within the realm of the intelligence agencies, just to see how far that might get. Because I think there would be concern amongst the public if you can, it's a little bit like the neighbour's 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 neighbour, because you're cooperating with so many agencies who are with the primary agency that has been cooperated with as to how far this information gets. I'm assuming it won't get too far, but my question to the Minister is what safeguards are there to ensure that the kinds of operations or the kinds of information that may be shared under clause 14(1)(a), which looks like it's been added by the Select Committee, might be safeguarded to make sure that that information and the operations might be not spread too far. I think given some of the scrutiny of intelligence agencies in the last 5 to 7 years, there'd be a lot of public scrutiny as to who exactly we are cooperating with, and I think that would probably be a valid question that people who may have submitted to the Select Committee might want to have answered. So that's my first question to the Minister, as to what oversight there is there. I might be getting slightly into trouble with the Chair, but there was also a piece of legislation last night where there was a form of words around secrecy and notwithstanding other enactments in the tax legislation. And I asked the Minister and the Chair at the time whether or not that was a dangerous set of words and a precedent being set. I'm not saying that it's within this Part 1 here, Mr Speaker, but Part 1 and its Part 2, sorry, in its totality does talk to a lot of the practicalities and operational issues that the intelligence agencies will be dealing with. And I guess if we are going to introduce other pieces of legislation where they can seem to opt out of secrecy arrangements and enactments that this House passes, then I would hate to see it becoming the norm for pieces of legislation that, in that case, Mr Chair, was a relatively inane thing around student loans, but it has been the case in other cases of legislation where one piece of legislation has been used and justified to be being in a piece of legislation because it exists somewhere else. So if I can get an answer to that first question from the Minister as to oversight around 14(1)(a), that would be helpful, because I think that would put a fair degree of people who are sceptical, and I think it'd be fair to say that there's quite a bit, at ease.
Mr Chair. I'm going to call Dr Megan Woods.
Thank you, Mr Chairman.